Hey everyone, I got an exciting show for you this Friday afternoon. Somebody reached out to me from Indiana University. He's a college sophomore and he wanted to ask me some questions. So as always, I said only if we can record it. That way I could review his questions, help him, but also hopefully some of these questions will help other college students. So Jonathan, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for reaching out. I know it could be a little nerve-wracking reaching out to somebody you don't know. So kudos to you for reaching out. And why don't you tell us about the assignment and the course, and we'll just get started.
Yeah, so it's not it's really just a career perspectives course. So it's just getting us ready for the workplace after college, really.
Okay.
And the assignment was to interview someone in a career field of our choice. And as soon as I heard that, you were the first person that I thought of. And so
Oh, awesome.
yeah, I was like I didn't even know what the actual assignment was, and I was like, I gotta ask him. And that's the first person.
Well, that's
Yeah, so
that's
that's
quite
really
the
all it
honor.
is.
That's quite the honor. So I
Yeah,
thank you for thinking of
I
me.
really
I've been looking forward to this for a few days now. So let's go.
yeah. All right. So I just have about 10 questions here that I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
So the first one is before so basically how did you get to where you are today, and why did you choose real estate as the your choice of investing?
Yeah. So my career, I come out of college just to kind of paint the picture for you. I came out of college with an accounting degree. I went to Santa Clara
Mhm.
University, got an accounting degree. I think I was making like, I don't know, $32,000 a year way back when. And I remember asking a CFO of the company I was at, what do I do? How do I get your job? Right. I was an arrogant 25 or 26-year-old. And he laughed. He said, first, you have to learn respect, which I thought was funny. I can still remember him saying that. And then he says, you have to go get a master's degree. I said, all right, well, okay. So I go get a master's degree in the evenings. But all that does is I just become a better W-2 employee, right? I'm working
Mhm.
for someone else. Yes, I made a little bit more money, but I was working 40 hours and, potentially for 40 years.
Right.
So my 30th birthday, I read a life-changing book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad that introduced the concepts of rental properties. It's embarrassing to say, but by the age of 30, I had no concept of being a landlord of rental properties. And it was that book that changed
Mhm.
it. And, look, fast forward 20 years, roughly. I built a portfolio of one rental at a time, ultimately left a six-figure job, retired financially free. And the reason I found real estate is because I could do it. I could I could manage my day life, right? 9 to 5. I could live below my means, like they talk about in Millionaire Next Door. And real estate for me was the best side hustle. I could learn my market 20 minutes a day. I could look at it every day and I could make life changing decisions. So for me, real estate was the best side hustle. When I was doing it, it wasn't called a side hustle, right? It was called an investment. But now looking back on it, as a 20-year-old yourself, for me, real estate investing is a side hustle. Go get that day job, bust your ass during the day, live below your means, because that's the magic of this is you have to live below your means. It's earn, save, invest. And then you just pick up one, two, three a year, depending on your lifestyle. And, frankly, you retire or you exit university at 22. Assuming you keep your expenses low enough, you could be retired by the time you're 30. And it's hard to do that in any other field. So that's why I like real estate.
Okay. Okay. And then kind of leading off of that question, so as I said, I'm in college myself. I'm kind of doing what you did. I'm going for accounting. I'm in my
Mhm.
second year. So what advice would you give to someone in my position where accounting isn't really my passion, but it will like give me a higher income to, invest in real estate and then retire early?
Yeah.
Would
So,
you,
go
yeah.
ahead. No, go ahead.
No, well,
Finish.
it's just like, what advice would you give me? Should I continue down the path that I'm going?
For again, right, one guy's opinion, somebody you just met.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think coming out of college, you got to have skills. right? Because again, my plan for anyone coming out, if you're anybody sitting here with me today is, all right, how do we get you financially free by 30? That would be my goal,
Mm,
right? So again, by the age of 22, I'm just roughly guessing when you graduate, you should be able to find a day job. And
mm,
in accounting, a business degree, a day job is relatively easy. So that's a great job. And also accounting is not one of those jobs that's going to consume 80 hours a week. So you go work 9 to 5, 8 to 4, whatever it is,
mm.
and that still gives you plenty of time to learn your market, execute real estate investments, and execute the side hustle. So I would tell you to stay in school and graduate, get that degree. Also, that's going to allow you to network with people. It's amazing how much network could be worthwhile to you. Um,
Mm.
but also, I would tell you there's some college courses that meant a big difference to me that aren't in the normal curriculum that you might want to look at as an elective. The number one is for me was speech. Um,
I've taken it. Yep.
yeah, that's the number one course I recommend. And going forward, I mean, you might take some video editing, or I just think the world's going to be very social in the future. So any additional skills that you can add now that will be usable for decades to come. I would have been a lot more picky with my electives if I had to do it again. For me back in the day, an elective was okay. What easy class can I slide in,
Yeah.
right?
Mm,
But yeah, the number one college course I took was a speech class. I mean, I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars because of that class, and I don't think I've made hundreds of grands from any accounting class. It was
mm.
definitely speech.
All right, that's cool. Thank you. And then, so kind of going away from the school thing, was there ever a moment throughout your whole like career where something happened or like just something almost made you quit?
Oh, for
So, and then
sure.
like, what was it and how did you keep going? What kept you going?
Yeah, there were several moments. The first one I write about in my book, One Rental at a Time, right?
Hmm.
It's that story of the first rental, right? We
Yep.
basically spend a year getting to the point where we have our first rental. We stick a tenant in, we do everything right. Then those tenants get divorced and it turns into a disaster. Um, they're not paying rent for 60 or 90 days. They're damaging the house to the tune of 10 or 15 grand. And that was our first experience being landlords. That would have easily crushed 98% of the people. And frankly, I
Hmm.
was ready to exit. For me, that instance, the wife, Olivia, gets all the credit in the world for verifying that we did everything right. It was just bad timing or bad luck. And she's like, okay, let's do it one more time. One more time. And it turns out great. That house never was a problem again. It doubled in value. We sold it, made a ton of money. So again, that first experience was horrible. I remember at about year 8 or year 9, we probably had 80 units, maybe 100 units at the time. And we went to a friend's housewarming, right? What's going to happen when you're 30 or 32 or whatever is all your friends are going to be buying this ridiculously expensive houses.
Right.
And we went to another one. It was like our 6th or 7th one. And this individual reported to me, right? So it wasn't like my boss's housewarming. It was a direct reports housewarming, and had a good time and yada, yada. And then driving home, I lost it in the car. I was like, what are we doing, honey? Why are we sacrificing? Why are we living in this little condo when everybody else around us has this big house with a big yard? We don't have a yard. We can't have dogs, right? Where does our kid play? That was horrible. And again, we were right on the cusp of getting to financial freedom, right? The thing about this real estate business is it starts so slow. The first 4, 5, 6 years, you don't see the cash flow because it's going to the next purchase and it's going to the remodel, but it's there. And I just needed to vent. It was very stressful. And then, when you have a fire and you have you have to make a big insurance claim, those are no fun. But yeah, there are lots of moments, and what it takes to get by them is talking with your partner. Have somebody doing this with you is a smart idea. If it's not a significant other, like a wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, somebody in the business you can lean on, mom, dad, whatever it is, somebody that will just listen to you, let you vent, and then slap you and say, all right, that's enough whining. Keep moving forward.
Right. All right. So for you, that was your wife.
Oh, no doubt.
All right. That's good. So kind of building onto that, you live in California, right? So it's a very tough state to be a landlord. And so I was wanting to know, would you ever consider, or have you considered moving out, or at least investing somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean,
other than California?
I consider it all the time. I think the biggest consideration for us was 2008. So at that moment, maybe it was 2007, we had 8 houses, all in California. They all doubled in value. And I was like, okay, what are we going to do? Because we can't buy the next one. They're just too expensive. And everybody talks about Texas. So we went to Texas. We flew out there. We spent a time in Dallas, Austin, San Antonio. And Texas is the anti-California, right? It's very landlord friendly, not tenant friendly. We actually made a couple offers. Really glad we didn't do it, because yes, California is tenant friendly and likely to get more tenant friendly. But the other side of California is it has appreciation and crashes. It's very cyclical. So if you pay attention, like I talk about, I teach, you can sell at the top and buy at the bottom. Sell at the top, buy at the bottom. Where Texas is very flat, right? It's sort of, like that. The other thing about Texas that, yes, it's landlord friendly, but it's not cash flow friendly. What do I mean by that? For example, if we would have bought houses in Texas, the property tax resets every year. So I may have bought a house with $300 cash flow, then the next year it's 250, then 200, right? So you have to look at the complete picture. Yes, you can get somebody out in Texas in less than 10 days. In California, it's more like 75 or 90 days. But for the most part, it's tenant selection. So you got to be very picky when you say yes to a tenant. And as long as you're doing your job, you're for the most part doing okay. But no, I'm thankful to be in California. I won't be going anywhere else. I expect California to be more tenant friendly, not less, in the near future. I still expect California to be a peaks and valleys. And when it approaches another peak, I'll just sell, sit on a bunch of cash, and wait for it to crash.
I never really thought about the whole thing.
Cool.
Okay, and moving on, have you ever considered like partnering with someone on a deal that was maybe too big for you individually?
No.
Why not?
I've seen lots of partnerships, and I've been doing this 20 years. I've seen lots of partnerships, and some of them are amazing. The ones that work are amazing. The one where 1 + 1 is 3 or 1 + 1 is 5, whatever it is amazing. But most of them aren't amazing. Real estate investing is something where you're going to be tied at the hip to someone for 5 to 10 years.
Right.
And life's hard, man. Divorces, death, disease, life changes, kids. I have no interest in being tied to someone else that's not my wife for that long. So yes, I'm sure there are some monster deals that I've missed because of my mindset that way, but also you got to remember, right? What did I talk about early on? I had a day job. So anything I was going to do in my side hustle, it cannot make my life more stressful. I already had enough stress. So I was only focused on us. But that said, I've been able to do every deal we found, even the big ones. But yes, it's very possible I missed some because I wasn't thinking big enough. Sure. But no, I don't need the extra stress. I don't need their life to impact my life because they decided to get divorced or become an alcoholic or, heaven forbid, catch a disease that's no fault of their own. No, because the last thing you want to do is be forced to sell when you don't want to, or forced to bail somebody out because they're bankrupt and now you got to make up their shortfall. I am not, again, I know a few partnerships that are 1 + 1 is 5. And when they work magically. I just have no interest in that. I don't want to roll the dice.
That's fair enough. All right. And then, so obviously with the recent health event
Mhm.
in the world. How has that changed the way you do business, and like how have you adapted to that,
Yeah, so that'll
or
be a
has it
long.
changed it at all?
Oh, it certainly changed it. So first and foremost, I was scared as hell in March, right? Couple hundred
Yeah, we
rentals,
all were.
and I'm like,
Mm,
what happens if my tenants don't pay, right? I have some reserves, but I can't carry this shit forever, right? What's going to happen? So we went and did a big audit. We found about 10 or 12 um, uh, tenants that we thought were high risk. So we communicated early and often. But for the most part, knock on wood, we've had good collections, over 93% every month, including November. So not bad. Normal month for us is like 96, 97. So a couple of points lower, but not 78%, which is where I feared we might go. So again, knock on wood, let's see what happens. It could get worse for sure. But we're watching every month, every day, actually. Second is I'm much more picky on tenants, right? If I do have a vacancy, I'm much
mm,
pickier. I would rather have a unit vacant than take a question mark, because you can't get anybody out in California, right? If you put in a bad
right.
tenant, you can't get them out. Next, I am highly focused on only buying houses right now. If you were to
Okay.
talk to me in 2019, I'd be buying a mix, houses and apartments. I don't want
Right.
any apartments today. I own some, but I'm not adding any more. Everybody wants a house, so I'm going to go buy houses. That's the biggest change, is I'm only buying houses, and I likely will only be buying houses for the next 2 or 3 years. I think values are going to go up. I think rents are going to go up. I think the supply of affordable rentals is going to go down, which is really good for somebody who owns them. So the biggest
Mm,
change is pickier on tenants and only buying houses.
all right. And so, like as you just said, you're buying a lot of houses right now. Are you selling anything?
I'm selling some problem apartments, apartments
Okay.
that haven't been performing. I'm
Right.
selling.
Okay. All right. So, what is something that you wish you would have known when you were starting or before you started, that maybe you could, tell me or
Yeah,
anyone really?
what I would tell every college graduate or high school graduate or PhD grad, whenever you leave school, this is
Mhm.
something I really hope people hear. That's when the rat race begins. And what is
Mm,
the rat race? The rat race is basically, that's when you're, I don't mean this to sound bad, but it's like when you start to really become an adult, right? You have your
mhm.
own rent, your own mortgage, your own car payment, your own insurance, all this shit that you take once you're out of college or out of school.
Right.
And I didn't get that. So, I mean, just for example, right? So I graduate Santa Clara University. I get my first full-time job. Again, I think I made 32 grand or whatever it is. The first 3 months after graduating, I go out and buy a $40,000 car. I mean, that is so stupid. Yes, I could afford it, but I just painted myself into a corner, because now you got the nice car, you got to have nice insurance, and then you got the nice, stupid sports car. So your tires are ridiculously expensive. And yes, of course, you're 22, so you're blowing through tires every 6 months. I mean, the key to this life that people don't get is the rat race is real. Go to school, get a good job, make a lot of money, buy a lot of stuff. We got to stop the buy a lot of stuff. If what I've told a couple of high school seniors is, I ask them, do you think you can live on 2 grand a month? And all the high school seniors say yes, right? Because they don't know, right? They don't know what rent costs
Right.
and all of that.
Mhm.
And I said, I tell them, I said, congratulations. If you can live on 2 grand a month, you could be financially free by the time you're 25. I mean, just think about that. The key to this whole financial freedom is, how much do you spend every month? And people don't get it. People think it's income. I thought it was income, right? I walked into the CFO's office and said, how do I get your job? Not because I wanted his job, I wanted his income, right? He was a
Right.
six-figure guy, I'm sure. I never asked, but I'm sure. And
Mhm.
that's the problem. We all think it's income. It's not income, it's expenses. If you can live on 2 grand a month, you can be retired by 30, right? You graduate at 22, maybe even 28. The problem is, at least in my case, you graduate, you go get a real job, you make some money, and then suddenly, let's just say I took home 3 grand a month. Or no, let's say I took home 2 grand a month. Suddenly my car payment was $612. I mean, a third of my check is gone. And then the insurance on top of that's probably $200 because I'm young and expensive, and it's an expensive car. Half my check is gone. I have to work 20 hours a week. I have to work till Wednesday at lunchtime just to pay my stupid car bill. How dumb was I? And nobody told me that. That's the biggest thing, is you will have some life choices the first couple of months after your graduation. And if you're an idiot like me, you're going to set yourself up for a long, long road of working for the man.
All right. And then kind of leading off of that, when you were, started getting money from real estate, when when you started noticing the money, how did you stay away from the inflation of your lifestyle? How did you kind of,
That's a good
and
question.
was there anything that you did splurge on?
Yeah. So a couple of things. So first, as we were building to that ultimate point where it was obvious it was working, we were starting to live on 50% of our income. That's a big change,
Okay.
right? So we read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm spending every penny I make, every penny. 5, 6, 7 years later, we're living on half. So we've learned how to sacrifice.
Okay.
The first thing we did is we set aside my wife's check for a year to see if we needed it. And then we didn't. We never touched it. So she retired. That was a big deal. I think she retired like 7 years ago. That was cool, right? Having your wife, retire.
But that felt good.
Oh, that felt good. That was awesome. Yeah. I still remembered. It was awesome. And then I had planned to retire at 50. Just, it was a round number. And then I was in a job that every year your boss changed and your quotas changed. So at 45, the situation changed where I didn't like the situation we were in and he didn't like me. So it was mutual hatred. And we just decided to part ways. So I remember going to the office thinking I was going to, have another great year. And like a half hour later going, all right, well, I quit. We're out of here. So that was interesting. So having that flexibility was pretty cool, right? 5 years early. We didn't splurge on a single thing until after we retired. So, but we've spent some significant money. We paid for our daughter's education. She lives in a property we owned in New York, free and clear. I have a ridiculously expensive sports car. Yeah,
What car is it?
it's a Mercedes SL 550 twin turbo V8 2-seater. Yeah, my
Okay.
dream car from when I was 20. I got it when I was 40 something. Yeah, we've done some nice things, but not until we were, done. And the key there is we did a couple of nice things. We didn't inflate our lifestyle, right? We didn't get a bigger house. We still live in the same condo we bought in 99. The real key is keeping your lifestyle in check for sure.
And then, so this wasn't one of my planned questions, but I just
It's okay.
got curious. Do you think now that you are like free, you can do whatever you want? Do you think you ever will get a bigger house or anything? Like a
No, so
nice
I
just
don't
move?
think we'll get a bigger house. We may get a second home.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're toying with the idea of actually getting a second or a third home. One of the things we've toyed with every now and again is getting a couple of condos in different parts of the world. So we would just
Okay.
hopscotch around the world. Like we'll live in California. I don't know, what it would be, March to September, and then go live in Australia and then go live in Asia. We toy with that every once in a while. Yeah, I could see
I
doing
was
that.
just, I just got curious.
No, it's fine. I don't mind. I'll answer all your questions.
All right. So this is the last one I have. What do you think is next for you?
So first and foremost, the beauty about real estate investing is it's not age limited, right? It's not like professional sports where you're done after 4 years. I'm still
Yep.
growing my portfolio. We've added, since I retired, which is now almost 3 years, we've added about 35 to 40 units. We've flipped 57 properties. I'm now helping I have over 1,000 students. So I think what's next for me is I have a goal right now, Jonathan, to create stuff that outlives me by 50 years. So, let's just say I die in 2070. So I'm 100. I want whatever I'm done. I want it to outlive me by 50 years. So that's what's driving me now. That's why I say yes to interviews like this, because this will be recorded. This will be posted on YouTube. And, maybe a kid who's in 4th grade today sees this when they're a sophomore at Indiana University, and it helps them. I mean, that's what motivates me.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate it.
Very cool, Jonathan. Well, know that I'm here. I'm here if you have more questions as you put this together. Just hit me, just DM me. I'm sure we can do it again. And enjoy school, be safe, and have fun.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
All right, bud.